Alright, this is the introduction to section 11.2, part 1 video, WSQ. And we have got a couple things here we want to cover from 11.1 just really quick, where we're talking about faces, vertices, and edges. So we're going to talk about what we call polyhedrons. And a polyhedron is what we call a surface, or a solid, where all faces are flat, polygonal surfaces. So all faces are a triangle, a rectangle, a square, trapezoid, could be a pentagon, a hexagon, any kind of shape that we use, any type of polygonal shape. Now, things that we're going to be looking at, okay, is looking at polyhedrons, and they're going to be specific ones. You're going to see mostly rectangular prisms, triangular prisms. You're going to see pyramids, whether it be square, rectangular, or triangular, and we're going to take a look at all those as well. Okay, so first thing we want to talk about is what they're made up of. Well, polyhedrons are made up of three things. They're made up of faces, vertices, and edges. And faces are what we call the sides of the prism, or in this case, the sides that you can touch. Okay, vertices are the sharp points of the prism or the pyramid, and the edges are where two sides meet, or they're the corners of a pyramid. If you were to think of a classroom, the corners of the room would be an edge. The vertices would be the top and bottom where the two walls meet and the little points. And then the faces would be the front wall, the back wall, the floor, the ceiling, those types of things. So what we want to do here is we want to be able to figure out how many of each on these. So as we look at this first shape right here, the rectangular prism, and we count up the number of faces, the number of vertices, and the number of edges. So the faces here, as you look, you've got a front, and then you've got a back, that's 2. You've got a right side, that's 3. You've got a left side, that's 4. And then you have a top and a bottom, that's 5 and 6. So there are 6 faces on the rectangular prism. Now, vertices, the little sharp points. Sharp points, there are 4 up top, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there are 4 on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there are a total of 8 vertices, or 8 sharp points. And then edges, or the corners, if you look here on the edges, this is 1. The sides make up the edges, so, or in this case make up 4 edges. 1, 2, there would be 1 back here in this corner. That'd be 3 and 4. And then you also have the edges of the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8. And then 4 more on the bottom, which means there's 12 total edges here. Okay? Triangular prism, as we look at this one, we've got here faces, vertices, and edges. The faces, if you count the faces, you've got the 1, 2, and 3 on the sides, 4 and 5 for the top and the bottom. So there are 5 faces. Vertices, there's 1, 2, 3 sharp points, 4, 5, and 6 sharp points. There's 6 vertices. And the edges, there are this side, 2 and 3, and then the 3 on each of the triangles, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So there's a total of 9 edges here. Now, square pyramid, the faces, the vertices, and the edges. Okay? The faces would be, there are 5 faces, there are 5 vertices, and there are 8 edges as you look at those. Okay, the next thing we want to look at here now is finding the surface area and lateral area of prisms and cylinders. And we're going to talk just strictly about prisms today. So as I look at this here, these are the 2 types of prisms you're going to see. A regular prism, a right prism and an oblique prism. Most of the time you're going to see a right prism here where the lateral edge is perpendicular to the bases, and we're going to talk about what the lateral parts are. The oblique prism, again, it appears to lean, so your height is going to be a little bit different here as well. You're not going to see a lot of oblique prisms. They'll mostly be right prisms. Okay, so now let's take a look here at how to find the surface area and lateral areas of shapes. Okay, as we look here, there's 2 ways you can find them. You can find it by formula, or what you can do is you can take the area of each face and add them up. Okay. Now you're going to find out the area of each face and add them up is going to be a lot more work than using the formula. So I'm going to go through and show you an example here of what it looks like to find the area of the surface area of a figure where you have just finding it on each side. So you've got the front and the back side, you've got the right and the left side, you've got the top and the bottom side, and you're finding the area. And you'll notice these are rectangles and squares, so it's just base times height. Well, the area of the front would be, the base would be 14, the height would be 6, which in this case would be 84 centimeters squared. Okay, the back, again, the base is 14, the height is 6, that's going to be 84 as well. Now, if you look at the right side, the base on the right side is 4, the height on the right side is 6, so that would be 24. And the same thing on the left, the base is 4, the height is 6, that'd be 24. The top and the bottom, okay, the base would be 14, the height would be 4. Well, 14 and 4 is 56. It'd be the same thing on the bottom. So all I've done so far is I have found the area of each side, base times height. Now, to find the total surface area, I would just add those numbers up. And this, if I add all of these numbers right here, that would give me the total surface area, in this case, which would be 328 centimeters squared. Now, there is another way to be able to do that rather than go through each one and find the area of each shape. The lateral area is what we call the area of the sides of the figure. It does not include the top and the bottom. Lateral means side to side. Okay? So what you're doing when you're finding the lateral area is finding the area of the side. The surface area is the area of all the sides together, the sides and the top and the bottom. Okay? There's going to be a different formula for each one. Okay, so for example here, let's take a look down here. In this case, these are right prisms. Again, they're going to be straight up and down. And you'll notice, if you look at this shape, we have a triangular prism here. Okay? So we have a triangular prism. And what we want to do is we want to be able to find the lateral area and the surface area. And we're going to change some things here. This is the surface area, lateral area. Okay? All right. So, again, when we find the lateral area of the shape, what this means is lateral area. To find the lateral area, we're going to take the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. And you'll see here, perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. How do you find perimeter? Well, perimeter is adding up the sides of the base. Well, as you look at this shape, you'll notice the base of the shape is a triangle. The two shapes that are exactly the same are going to be the triangle. That's the base of the shape, the top and the bottom. So, to calculate the lateral area here, I'm going to add up all the sides of the triangle. Well, you'll notice I have 8 on one side, 8 on the other, and this dotted line doesn't have a number, but if you look up top, it's 14. So I'm going to add up 8 plus 8 plus 14, and then I'm going to take that times the height of the prism, which the height of the prism is right here, which is 7 inches. Okay? When I add those numbers there, I get 30 times 7, which means the lateral area is 210 inches squared. 210 inches squared. Now, the surface area. The surface area formula, and again, I'm going to change these a little bit here, and you can write these as I go. The surface area of a prism is the lateral area, or the sides, added to 2 times what we call the area of the base. That's what the big B stands for. Well, in this case, the area of the base is going to be the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the base is a triangle, which is base times height divided by 2. Okay? And you'll notice that that triangle is a right triangle. Okay? It doesn't show it in the picture, but it is a right triangle. So when I calculate this here now, the base and the height, the lateral area, we already just found that. That's 210. Plus 2 times the base of the triangle is 8 times the height of the triangle is 8 divided by 2. Well, you'll notice these 2's are going to cancel each other out. So now this is 210 plus 8 times 8 is 64. When I add those two together, this is 274, in this case, inches squared. So the surface area is 274. The lateral area is 210. You'll notice one other comparison you can make is that the surface area will always be larger than the lateral area. Okay, now as you look at the next example here, we have a little bit different shape. And this shape happens to be put on its side. So, we have a trapezoid, okay? So we've got to figure out the lateral area and the surface area. We've got to do the lateral area first. Remember, the lateral area is the perimeter times the height of the prism. Now, the base shape in this prism is a trapezoid. And if you look here, you'll see this is the side, that's a side, 9 is a side, and 12 is a side. Essentially, your trapezoid looks like this. This is 9, that's 7, that's 12, and that's 10. So what you're going to do, the perimeter is you're going to add up all the sides, 7 plus 12 plus 9 plus 10, and take it times the height of the prism, which is 10 centimeters. Again, if I flip that over, right now it's laying on its side, if I flipped it up on the trapezoid, the 10 centimeters would be how tall it is. So the lateral area here, if I add those numbers up, that's 37 times 10 gives me 370, in this case, centimeters squared. That's the lateral area. That's the area of just the sides, not including the trapezoids. So, surface area is the lateral area times 2 times the area of the base, which happens to be height times base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, which you'll see why we went through all these areas together. Now, again, you'll notice these 2's are going to cancel out. So it's really the lateral area, which is 370, times the height of the trapezoid is 6, times the two bases added together. If you add the two bases together, in this case, if you add the two bases together, you get 20, 12 and 8. And so then when you take 370 times 120, those two together, that's going to be 490 centimeters squared. That is your surface area. And again, if you look, you can figure that the surface area will always be larger than the lateral area. Okay? All right, this concludes section 12, or sorry, not section 12. This concludes sections 11.2, part 1. Don't forget to complete your WSQ.